If you are looking for a detailed roadmap on AI engineering, so this is the video. So this video going to help you to make 100% career transition. Not only that, you are able to get a salary hike as well. Now, how exactly we need to prepare to crack a role as an AI engineer? The very first one you want to start mastering is you want to start working on your Python programming. Your end-to-end job role going to run on Python. So the very first step is start mastering Python. Start mastering your basic functionalities, or I will be writing it as core Python. Be very good with your core Python. And after understanding core Python, if possible, try to understand about Pandas and all of that. Pandas, NumPy, etc. So the basic Panda syllabus. The reason is not really like to master everything, to get a good hands-on of Python. Once you got a good hands-on, then try to master your SQL. Why SQL is very important now? In our real-time AI engineer role, we build agents, we build RAG chatbots. So we want to connect external data. So for that reason, you need to know how exactly this data engineering going to work. You need to know about SQL. You need to know about data engineering, you need to know about a bit of ETL pipelines. Some of the professionals are even asking about data engineering pipelines. The reason is, in a real-time job role, you daily interact with the data engineer. So you need to be pretty much aware of your data engineering. And once you mastered these two subjects, then go into the very, very important subject, machine learning. What some people are even doing is, they are not learning Python and SQL, they are directly jumping into prompt engineering. Please don't do that. That is a mistake. When you're directly jumping into prompt engineering, what happens? It's easy to write a code, but the recruiters are asking, are going in this direction. So your most of 90% of the candidates are failing in the interview because they are not really good with Python SQL, and they are not good with this middle block which I have written here. So that's the reason, be very, very good with your Python and SQL and go in this direction so that you are able to easily crack your interviews. And the next one more important point. So don't build agents or chatbots using some free tools, or using like how can I say that, like UI driven tools like using N8N or using Make, or even using to build agents using Claude or ChatGPT. They are meant only for the productivity, not really to crack the job as an AI engineer. So once you completed Python and SQL, be very good with your machine learning. So try to understand about your machine learning algorithms like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, self-supervised learning, reinforcement learning. So now you are using ChatGPT, so this comes into self-supervised learning. If I'm trying to use something like prompt engineering and all of this, so we are doing with the help of LLM, so that which comes into a category of self-supervised learning, this one. And again, within your chat GPT, there is another area called as reinforcement learning. So if you are unable to understand them, if you are unable to understand these levels, you cannot understand what is happening inside chat GPT. So they are asking in the theory as well. Then once you are very good with your machine learning, try to work at least on one project. And when I'm saying one project, don't focus on what is that internet project. So something like taking a Kaggle data set and working on it, not even a course project. So whatever you learn, try to take that, apply to your area of work, and try to build a small POC. So you need to build an experience. So build a POC, proof of concept related to machine learning. So now the reason is, in the interviews, they don't ask questions like a definition, what is variance bias trade-off, or what is supervised learning, what is they don't ask like that. So they try to give a situation, and they ask you how exactly you are able to explain to the recruiter as an experience. So for example, see, now you are joining my courses, or you are attending my particular classes. So you are asking me, Kant, can you tell me about how a real-time project look like? If I'm unable to explain it, or if I'm explaining like a definition, you can easily say, hey man, this guy doesn't know anything. So that's the reason recruiters look at the same thing. So they want to understand your experience. They don't want to understand the theoretical knowledge or a bookish knowledge. They want to understand the real-time knowledge. So whatever you are learning on machine learning, try to work on a project and make sure you are remembering the concept of machine learning theory. And once you got good understanding on machine learning, that get to deep learning. In the deep learning, you are understanding about artificial neural networks, you are understanding about convolution neural networks, you are understanding about recurrent neural networks, you are understanding about LSTMs. So once you are able to understand this, within the deep learning itself, you are understanding transformer architecture. So based on this transformer architecture, we are able to build your Gen AI or LLMs. So once you've gone through this stuff, now here within the deep learning itself, you are trying to master PyTorch library, you are mastering TensorFlow library. So this is also Python. And in machine learning, you are mastering library called as scikit-learn. Yes. And once you are able to get into generative AI or LLMs, now you want to take this generative AI models or LLMs. So now here, very simple. So now generative AI is a broader term. And what exactly generative AI is? If you are able to give one part, it is able to start generating another part. We call generative. Now, machine learning or deep learning is very much used. So for the sake of discriminative models, if you are able to give some data, it is able to say yes or no. That is a basic idea. Now, within the deep learning, this LSTMs, RNNs, transformers, with the help of this, we are able to build generative models. So there are two types: image-based, we call vision-based generative models, and text-based generative models. Text-based generative models are called as LLMs, large language models. So developing these models is so difficult. That's the reason what we do. We start accessing these models from ChatGPT, from what is that? We call ChatGPT from OpenAI, or you are able to access from Claude, or it comes from Anthropic. So you are able to access all of these models from their direct portal through an API key, or you are able to access them through AWS Bedrock. So most of the companies are trying to access the models through AWS Bedrock, or we are able to start accessing the models in real time using Microsoft Foundry or Azure Foundry. So like there are like even 11,000 plus models available in your Azure Foundry. And what exactly we do? Again, there is another concept, we call it as vector database. I'll be getting into this point slowly. So what we do as real-time AI engineers, so you are trying to take these models from AWS Bedrock or Azure Foundry or OpenAI platform or Google AI Studio platform or Anthropic platform. You are trying to collect your API keys. You take your API key, and based on that API keys, what you do, you are able to start customizing your LLM models to your business requirements. So you are able to customize it using prompt engineering. You are able to customize it through RAG architecture. What is RAG architecture? So you are providing an external data in order to give a, so in a simple layman terminology to say that, now you have chat gpt. So if you are able to give a text, it is able to start giving a response. Now this chat gpt need to sound like me, like Kant, or it need to sound like maybe like some xyz person, or it need to sound like a cricketer. What exactly we can do? All the data of that cricketer can be fed as an external data to your chat gpt. The same thing, for example, now take your phone. Your phone contains all of your data. If you are able to feed all your data to your chat GPT, what happens? It is able to start explaining about your messages, about your WhatsApp, all of that. So you are able to even search through them even more faster. So the process of feeding your external data is called as RAG architecture. So how you are able to feed this external data? Either you are able to feed your external data, if it is structured, you are able to feed it through your SQL database, or if it is a text data, you need to store the text data in a vector DB format. Again, there is a process, I'm not getting into it, and you need to feed that into your RAG. So the process of feeding your text data to your LLM models is called as RAG architecture. So if I want to feed external data to your LLM, you no need to follow any RAG. You are able to directly connect your SQL database to your LLM models, or we need to do fine tuning, or we do pre-training, or even we are able to build agents, like we can build single agent or a multi-agent architecture, or we are able to swarm architecture, hierarchical architecture. There are different types of architectures we try to build agents. So now most of your real-time AI engineering projects come from this. So now from this section itself, at least you need to have 4 to 5 real-time projects in your resume. So if you are able to have 4 to 5 real-time projects from this section, you are able to crack AI engineer job role. 100% you are able to crack it. So the first real-time project need to be from machine learning. If possible, focus on deep learning. The reason is, while you are doing fine tuning, anyhow you are working on deep learning project itself. So you will be using PyTorch or TensorFlow libraries, and you are trying to work on fine tuning. So now in order to work on prompt engineering or RAG, you are using libraries like LangChain. You are using libraries like LangGraph. You are using libraries like CrewAI. So by using these libraries, you are building prompt engineering or RAG or AI agents or agentic AI, you are trying to build it. So for fine tuning and pre-training, you are using libraries like your PyTorch, TensorFlow transformers library, we will be trying to use it. And where exactly you are writing all of this code? You are writing everything through Python coding itself. Once you have written the code in real time, they're going to be the front-end developers and the back-end developers. Now, by doing all of this, you are developing the back-end of an application. And that back-end need to be integrated with a front-end. Either you build a front-end or you are able to build a front-end. Even if it is a POC, you can build a front-end using Streamlit or Solara. No, I'm not a front-end guy. They're going to be a front-end engineer. He tried to build front-end and you are able to build the back-end using Python. And then in order to push the application to the production, you need to perform DevOps, or we call it as LLMOps pipeline. Again, at LLMOps, you are understanding about terminologies like Docker, CI/CD, GitHub, Argo CD, or you are able to work on Kubernetes, we call it as K8s, and you are able to work on cloud platforms like Azure, GCP, or AWS. So by using, again, you will be using Jenkins. In order to create infrastructure as a code, you can, if you want, you can go for Terraform. So all of this comes into your LLMOps. So now, in order to be an AI engineer, the goal is not just like learning prompt engineering RAG. If you notice it, you have a mix of stuff. So what exactly the mix of stuff you have it? So you got data engineering. So now you have, basically, if you are able to look at all of the structure, if you are able to look at an actual AI engineer job role, there are 4 elements. The very first one going to be, you need to be a very good program. You can say ChatGPT is writing code. No. So even though ChatGPT is writing a code, you are really working as a problem solver. So you are connecting the dots. So whatever the project you are working, that code is not available in ChatGPT. So you need to use existing code. You are connecting the dots and you are solving the problem. So AI is coming, that's not really automating your role. So why? You are connecting the dots. So first, you are being a programmer. Second, you need to have a knowledge as a data engineer a bit. You don't need to be 100% AI engineer. Partially, you need to think like AI engineer. And apart from it, you are trying to, as I said, as you are doing a programmer, you are learning a bit of backend development, how exactly software development is working, how exactly software engineering is working. You are understanding a bit about backend. And the fourth element, you're understanding about DevOps. So how exactly we push the stuff into cloud. So you're understanding DevOps, or you are understanding a bit of cloud in order to take your application to your production. And apart from it, in order to combine all of these 4 elements, you need to be very good at your fifth segment called as business. How well you are able to understand your business. And the sixth one going to be, now you need, the goal is not just about like writing a code, it's more about what understanding, can we really solve the project. So you are studying the scope analysis. So now you need to be really having this skill. So you need to understand a business. So what are all the skills you have? So you are understanding them in lines of your business, and you are checking based on all the theory you learned here. So does it really help me to solve this problem or not? If you are unable to build these 6 skills, you are unable to really solve a job as an AI engineer. So the 6 skills are important. It's not just about writing a code. So now, in order to understand, can we really solve the problem, you need to be very good with the theory of machine learning, deep learning. How exactly, what is vector database? What is this prompt engineering, RAG? All of this stuff, you need to be so deep into them. So without being deep into it, what happens? Whatever I taught or whatever you learned in the internet, the same thing you copy paste it. What is the need of the same thing to hire you in the interview? So in order to hire you, they expect you to stand on your legs. So you want to solve the problems. The goal is not just to write some code. So if you are able to work on course project, there is no scope. So now, what is meant by a scope? So when someone is saying, someone came near me, Kant, I want to crack a job at 1 year package. So now, as I know all job market, I know the subject, I can say, man, whether it is possible or not, I can say that. I can understand whether it is possible or not. If you really don't know the theory, what happens? I can give you a fake promise. The same thing. If you really don't know how all of these things are working, you may give a fake promise to the client, but you are unable to deliver the project. That's the reason, be very good with these 6 elements. Be a good programmer, be a good data engineer. You don't need to be 100%, but partially. Be very good with your backend. They're doing prompt engineering, RAG, fine tuning, AI agents, all of this theory, and be very good with solving the business problems and analyze the scope. based on all the theory you mastered from Python right to the last. This is a detailed roadmap on AI engineering. If you want to really crack, follow this roadmap, build real-time projects so that you are able to easily make a career switch. In case if you have any doubts, drop your views in the comments.